Cold Case, an Angelica Dale Mystery by P.K. Armstrong. Chapter 28. When I returned to the house, Chuck, Sandy, and Jacob were all in the kitchen. My shock had worn off, and it was ire that was beginning to bubble over. Whatever look was on my face kept the others in their place, silent. Chuck was about to speak when Daniel entered the house. I flew to the foyer to meet him. He looked at me, and he immediately knew I had discovered exactly where he had been that afternoon. Angel, let me explain. Do not speak, I said oppressively. The others all began speaking at once. What happened? Daniel, what did you do? Where have you been? I held up my hand to staunch the flow of questions, and I looked at Daniel. Do you know what you have done? I asked slowly. Daniel looked at me, his eyes wide. I, I'm, I'm sorry. I just wanted to help, he pleaded. Sandy stepped forward and grasped Daniel's arm. Daniel, what did you do? I didn't let him answer. He put himself at risk today. Things could have gone very bad. You could have been hurt. I punctuated the words with a finger in the air. Daniel's expression cleared, and he looked almost relieved. No, I didn't actually hit that guy's car. What? Everyone shouted. Daniel started to explain further, but then stopped. Wait, you were in the house the whole time when I was there. Did you get the diary? Yes, and that is not the point, I responded angrily. Okay, everyone calm down. Angel, Daniel, come into the kitchen, Chuck said reasonably. He stepped toward me, put both hands on my shoulders, and guided me to the kitchen. By this time, I was visibly shaking. Daniel looked chagrined. I'm sorry, Angel. I didn't mean to scare you. I promise I wasn't in any danger. Your parents, Christopher, they would never forgive me if anything happened to you because of my case, and I wouldn't forgive myself either. To everyone's shock, including my own, I began to cry. Sandy moved to me immediately and put her arms around me. Jacob stood by the doorway to the dining area and watched the whole scene unfold. Chuck put a firm hand on his son's shoulder and forced him to sit on a kitchen stool. Daniel, speak, he said sternly. Daniel swallowed hard and began his story. I knew Angel needed to get the diary, and it was probably in that girl's house. I gave her my scanner wand. She said she wasn't going to break in, but I knew she would because how else was she going to get it? I told her I would back her up, or she should call Chris so he could help, but she said no. She said she could do it on her own. He looked to his parents. But Chris wanted us to keep an eye on her. If she was in Fillmore, she would have had help. His voice faded out. Sandy handed me tissue and I wiped my tears. I took a deep breath. Daniel, I knew I needed to get in, but this is not a situation where I would break into someone's house. Jacob's interest was piqued. You've broken into houses before? Jacob, Chuck reprimanded. Yes, but only when there was immediate danger to someone, I responded honestly. Daniel, continue, please, Sandy said. I was worried about you. He looked at me with sad eyes. But I didn't know what to do because you didn't say when you were going over there, but then you got that call, so when you left, I followed you. Seriously? I asked incredulously. Normally, I would have picked up on a tale, but I had no reason to believe I was being watched, so I didn't take any precautions. I waited while you talked at the bakery and then saw you guys walk away. I debated on whether or not to follow you, but then I realized you would need your car, so I waited. I followed you to that house and saw you go in. But how did you come to talk to Moira and Delaney? I asked. I had pulled some distance away where I could see the house and I saw that girl. Moira, is it? Come home. I thought you were outnumbered, so I pulled up. I waved her over and told her that I thought that the other car was at the bakery and I may have bumped it. I followed it to the area but didn't know if it was the same car or not. So she banged on the door, got the other guy, they came out to the street, and we looked over the cars. By this time, we were all staring at Daniel in disbelief. Bro, I'm impressed, Jacob said, and stood up and thumped his brother on the shoulder. Jacob, if you don't sit down, Chuck warned. Jacob sat with a big goofy grin on his face. I sighed. I have no words. We had all calmed down after a couple of hours. The boys were given laundry to do, Chuck cooked dinner, and Sandy sat catching up on her favorite show in the family room. I had gone up to my room to read the diary pages. My initial impression of Sasha Johnson was correct. She wasn't a prolific writer. From a young age, her diary mainly consisted of her definition of success, beginning at age 17. As a typical teen, she wrote out dreams to own designer clothing and a nice car. A few years later, she began making notes about places to live for up and comers. She held several different jobs and her thoughts trickled to a stop. However, she started working for Derek at the club about 8 months before the fire, and her writing became incessant. Derek is lost. He has all kinds of ideas about how to make a success of the club, but he hasn't a clue how to make it happen. I changed my schedule to make sure I'm working when Derek is there. It doesn't take much to get him to do what I want. Derek's renovations are a bust. I will start giving him hints. He is drowning, but still needs a nudge to grab onto the lifeline I'm offering. First night together. He's like a teenage boy. He is so easy. I've done the research. The insurance agent won't ask questions. I wasn't sure what surprised me more, Sasha's gradual seduction of Derek, secret because no one had a clue, or how easy Derek was led into burning down his dream. She outlined their plans, buying the second policy, figuring out which accelerant to use, and the excitement discovering the city was going to initiate a mandatory water shutoff. She even detailed how they would shut off the water valve. I sat for a moment staring out the window. The landscape was full of trees, bushes, and structures all coated with ice and snow. But reading Sasha's plans so naively written down evoked strong feelings of desolation and waste. If only she and Derek would have paused to think of the things that could have gone wrong. Who was I kidding? There would be a lot less pain and suffering in the world if everyone stopped and thought before they acted. After having gleaned the information I needed, I made the dreaded call to Christopher about his brother, Daniel. He what? Christopher yelled. I explained the whole story, beginning when Daniel cornered me in my room, insisting he knew I was going to break into Moira's house. After I finished, Christopher's first words made me chuckle. You did say Daniel, right? Not Jacob. I haven't known him that long, but even I know it was totally out of character for him, I agreed. I'm dumbfounded, Christopher admitted. I mean, from your account, he did help, but still, he had no idea what he was walking into. I know, Christopher, I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I should have never stayed here or let your family help with the investigation. What have they been helping with? I outlined Daniel's help with the pager, Jacob's help with diagramming the crime scene and developing the pictures from the evidence box, and Chuck's input regarding the water and sprinkler system at the club. Wow, I didn't know my family were such subject matter experts. He was clearly impressed. I should have never involved them, I said. But I think I let my guard down because it's a cold case and there wasn't really any danger. Maybe, but Angel, at the end of the day, Daniel is responsible for his own behavior, his own choices. Even if you would have asked him to help you, he would have to accept the consequences. He paused. I take it you would like me to talk to him? You're going to have to because I have no idea what to say. What did my mom and dad say? Nothing, but I think they were more upset that he upset me. Christopher was quiet for a moment. I will talk to him, I promise. My brother's craziness aside, did you get what you needed? I sighed. Yes, I did. The diary confirmed the large puzzle pieces are in the right place. I think the motive behind the cause of the fire at the Aspen Club has been resolved. I finally got a hold of Bailey's mom. I'm hoping after talking to her, the smaller pieces will move into place. I paused, slightly unsure of myself. Christopher? Yes? I miss you. I'm ready to come home, I said quietly. I miss you too. I'm waiting for you.